stealing from Jimmy Lakey. Jimmy Lakey in the morning makes me feel alive. Woke me up this morning, now I'm up and on my way. Oh, 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 yeah, what a great way to start your day, the Lakey way.
Good morning, everybody. Top of the morning to you. How is everybody? It's Friday. It's Friday on glorious day the Lord has made, the 21st day of February, year of our Lord 2025. Glad to be here. I posted up a public service announcement on the my Facebook page, facebook.com/Jimmy Lakey fan page. I'm just warning you right up front. Tell your friends and neighbors to gather around this streamcast like it's a fireside chat, because this could be a short show today. I know usually we try to go for about an hour-ish, and when we first started, we were in like 30 minutes, and then we grew to an hour, then 50 minutes, and then I start yapping, and all of a sudden we're at an hour and a half. Well, this morning we're cutting it in half, and it's only because of a conflict of schedule. I have something I must attend to at 9 o'clock Mountain Time. At first, I thought it was 9 o'clock Eastern Time. There's not 9 o'clock. 11 o'clock Mountain Time. Anyway, they had it all screwed up in the time zone, and it switched in my calendar, and I must attend to it. So we will be departing here almost what we call a hard break at about 8:45 Mountain Time, about 10:50 Eastern Time. So anyway, if you're watching this late and you're watching a rerun and say, why didn't I get the live version of it? It's because it's a short show today. So you got to get in early for all the fun. Good to have you here. All right, what's in the news? Oh, by the way, couple of great things for you today. Edward Bartlett's going to be on the program. He's the founder of an organization called SAVE. It's an organization focused on fairness and due process on college campuses. And we're going to dive into the topic of DOGE and fraud and things like that. DOGE still becomes the topic of conversation. Somebody sent me this yesterday and said, I asked my liberal friend how they're dealing with all this Donald Trump executive order and all this doging. And I'll show you the video that was sent to me by what they asked their liberal friend to do a selfie on it. I'll show you that here in just a moment. Kash Patel has been confirmed by the U.S. Senate. The hunted shall become the hunter. Now, it was funny. I have this video, this meme. Producer Chad, did I send you the photo? Or maybe it's still on my phone. I'll have to show it Monday. Well, I have a news story here that Adam Schiff and his I have a photo of this, and it's my fault. I didn't send it over. Adam Schiff and his goofiness stood out front of the halls of the justice and desperate last stand against trying to went to the FBI building before the confirmation vote, and they stood there behind a microphone. They did not have an audience, just a bunch of reporters. And then they stood there and said, block Kash Patel. And it is amazing, absolutely amazing how apoplectic, foolish these people are looking, standing in front of the halls of justice and pretending that there's that there's going to be that there's something wrong with Kash Patel. I'll give you one secret. You know why they hate Kash Patel so much? Remember how they thought their first opening salvo with Donald Trump was he's a Russian asset, right? They had the Russian asset. Russia. Everything for the first 2 years was Russia. I mean, literally the investigation, the setup by James Comey, all this stuff coming in. We have reports, sir, that there's reports out there that you had prostitutes at a Russian hotel urinate on the bed that Obama slept on. All this stuff that came out, right? That was the dossier bought and paid for by the Hillary Clinton campaign, and they launched an investigation, and they all knew it was fake. Everybody knew it was fake. But America didn't know it was fake. The media ran with it like it was true. The Trump supporters like this isn't true, and but that it all started that whole Russia. If you look at why is the first part of this administration and this term of office going so much better, is because we're not distracted by Russia investigation. There were even Republicans that the first year or so of the Trump presidency were distancing themselves from Trump, thinking that maybe he was a Russian asset in the White House. And so this is the nonsense we dealt with. And Kash Patel is a guy that was on Trump's team that got to the bottom of it. Kash Patel's a guy that figured out that this was all a hoax. It was all deceitful. And it was a biggest bunch of collusion that you could ever imagine between the deep state, a political campaign, and the FBI. And at that point, the upper echelons of the FBI lost all trust and viability in my part, and Kash Patel will rebuild that. But the reason they have such disdain for him is because they also were spying on Kash Patel. He got to the bottom of it. He's the guy that ultimately is the architect of stopping the nonsense of the Russian hoax, and that's why they hate Kash Patel. Kash Patel's there. Pam Bondi is there. I call them the new Justice League. Remember the old cartoon we grew up with on Saturday morning? Was it the Justice League? Yeah, I think it's called the Justice League. The new Justice League is in town. The new Justice Society is together, and they are ready to rock and roll, and it's going to be very interesting. By the way, did you see what they uncovered yesterday? I just watched this morning. I'm wondering if Kash Patel seriousness is going to look at this stuff. In the last year, 2024, just right at the end of the Biden administration, they donated, meaning USAID, the government, the EPA, or some government entity, donated $2 billion to a charity, an NGO, if you will, run by and affiliated with Stacey Abrams, the woman who was an election denier that she ever lost the governorship of Georgia. She ran for Senate. She lost. She's a loser. She's a big loser. And big, when I say big, she is a big woman. I don't want to shame anybody, but I do want to put out it could be a new career if she doesn't go to jail. $2 billion that they gave to Stacey Abrams from the EPA, and it went to an agency that she runs so that she could start a staff. $2 billion to start an organization. $2 billion, but she wouldn't. The previous year, that same organization that she had started, they operated with $100. $100. They went for 1 year from $100 in late 2023. By 2024, the government had seeded them now $2 billion. And Lee Zeldin, the new EPA commissioner, is wanting to claw that back and say, where did it go? And we'd like our money back. So it's going to be very interesting to see, was there some type of fraud and some type of malfeasance that happened there with Stacey Abrams using the government money. So anyway, it's going to be interesting. They have $2 billion earmarked for Stacey Abrams given to the EPA, from the EPA. And that's going to be interesting to see how that shapes out, because that's the kind of things you're getting to. You're getting to this wonderful activity of which you find out this is how the liberals operate. See, I go start a charity, an NGO, and I'm happy if you give $25, man. I'm happy if you sponsor a kid for $65 a month. I mean, we're clawing by day by day, because I guess I didn't cozy up to people in Washington, D.C. enough. Right, but you start a 501c3 charity, and then you say, "Oh, we're for climate justice, or we're for circumcisions of children in Mozambique, or we're for." You make up, in many instances, not all, you make up some front organization or some cause that you're behind, and political payoff. Stacey, you've been a loyal soldier. If you started a 501c3, I bet the government could give you some grant money for that. I bet the government could really help you, and that's how this whole thing works. And unfortunately, I guess fortunately, I built my charity off honesty, and we actually are. I've had donors get off the bus when we go out there and go, "Wow, this thing's real." Of course it's real. That's what we do, but we do it off 20. We never got a $2 billion grant. So anyway, just know that big people like Stacey Abrams are living off the government dole, starting their foundations to do nothing. And if you'd like to support our foundation that does something, and feel free, riverspromise.org, riverspromise.com. They're a shameless plug there. All right, they're still freaking out, though. They're freaking out. This is not Stacey Abrams in the video. I don't think. It could be a relative, but this is, somebody said, they asked their liberal friend, they said, "How you feeling about all these cuts, this DOGE and these executive orders?" And this is what I was sent. And again, I don't think this was Stacey Abrams, but this is probably what Stacey Abrams is feeling this morning. That she knows that Lee Zeldin and the DOGE team are on her case and are asking for a payback of $2 billion to her organization. This could be a forecast of what Stacey Abrams is looking like this morning in the streets. Go ahead.
He ain't put the pen down since he got here. 1 minute, we can't have transgenders in the world. We can't have Mexicans. We can't have nothing. 1 minute, we ain't gonna be able to eat macaroni and cheese on the side of the road. I don't know. I don't feel like, I just feel like the world just need to start over. No, hell no. Then don't worry about it. Don't just scratch what I just said. The world does not need to be started over until. This is a stressful life. You don't know when you're going to pass away, how you're going to pass away. You don't know what's next. Somebody going to come randomly. Oh, and what's up with these planes crashing every damn well? It's something going on. Y'all stay off them folks' plane. Y'all see it? Don't worry about it.
I don't know. I didn't intend for that to be right by the Stacey Abrams story, talking about the $2 billion that they're asking back. But that could be Stacey could be having a meltdown. There's somewhere out there she could be melting down. All right, serious. We got to be serious here. Very serious news broadcast here. We are very serious. I literally have tears in my eyes for that. I really do. All right, good to have you here, doging out there. Everybody's doging. Jeff says, preach on, sister. By the way, I would also dispel the rumor. I cannot confirm or deny if that is Stacey Abrams, after she's been discovered to have this NGO that 2 years ago, in 2023, operated had a $100 donation. And suddenly, by 2024, for being a good soldier, the EPA had given her a grant of $2 billion. And so we're going to see if they get the back. Lee Zeldin's requiring that to come back. But I can confirm that lady that you just saw is not in the Jimmy Lakey Mass Choir. She is not part of our choir. And just letting you know that. All right, got a couple of other things. Speaking of DOGE, producer Chad and I were talking about this in a pre-show meeting. Didn't want to go to my guest. Producer Chad and I were talking about this in the pre-show meeting. Bill Clinton cut $250,000 government employees, and I don't recall Chuck Schumer or Mitch McConnell, who were around in office at that time. I don't record any of them freaking out about all this stuff. And, these Democrats that are freaking out always seem to have wanted accountability until after. Notice all the Bill Clinton stuff was before we started doing all the continuing resolutions all the time. We've gone through this week. Where the muck began is when they no longer, Obama, even though he's a lying Sacagawea, said we're going to go through the budget line by line and find fraud, waste, and abuse. They never went through the government line by line, because the 12 budget amendments or the 12 budget packages were oftentimes just combined into an omnibus spending bill, thousands of pages. No one could read it. That's why it's supposed to be broken up into 12 different packages so that they could break it down and read it. And then after that, the next year, even under Obama, under a lot of presidents, you ended up with these continuing resolutions where we just continue the previous budget resolutions. So it's Bill Clinton, Willie Jeff, the last one that went through the line-by-line budget, and he actually cut some government, and but he did it. But now that they've had, since the days of 1997, since the days of 1997, they have really just drilled into continuing resolutions. Therefore, they can just continue to give money to, we've got an extra billion. Well, we're going to have the same amount of money. So who did we give it to last time? Let's give it to this person there. There's no line-by-line budget. It's just this lump sum and maybe a 10% increase. So this is Bill Clinton back in, I think this was this was towards the end of his term, his second term, kind of touting what he had done in the government to trim the size of government. As a matter of fact, Bill Clinton, he doged it. The doging is not what he did to the blue dress. He doged the government. Here we go.
We cut the federal government by more than 100,000 positions in the last 2 years. We're on the way to reducing it with laws already passed by 272,000 positions, making it the smallest it's been in more than 30 years. We cut taxes for 15 million working families with 40 million Americans in it, about an average of $1,000 apiece for families of four with incomes under $26,000 this year. We made 9 of 10 of our small businesses eligible for tax reductions. We invested in the tools our people need in education and training and technology. We did more to open markets in the last 2 years than in any previous period in a generation. The results are clear. The deficit that 2 years ago was projected to be over $400 billion a year by the end of the decade is now under $200 billion. It's going down for 3 years in a row for the first time since Truman was president. The economic plan we have already passed will cut the deficit in half as a percentage of our economy. We have almost 6 million new jobs, the biggest year in economic growth in 1994 in a decade, with 93% of those jobs in the private sector. That's the largest percentage of private sector job growth.
So Bill Clinton cut the budget, cut the workforce, cut a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse. And for some reason, then it was praised. Donald Trump does this whole thing, and it is considered a constitutional crisis. It's going to be a very fascinating time to watch what other stuff they continue to uncover. All right, let me bring in my first guest of the morning. His name is Edward Bartlett. Let me get the a byline correct. You might remember his voice from the times that I was on the terrestrial radio signal. But Edward Bartlett is the founder of an organization called SAVE, S-A-V-E. It's an organization focused on fairness and due process on the college campus. And he's going to jump in here with a little angle on the DOGE and the doging of the federal waste out there. Edward Bartlett, there he is. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Hey, Jimmy, I love your hat.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it. You're wearing, sporting a hat of your own, and it looks like
you inspired me to put on my hat. So,
well, it looks like you're out in public. Where are you sitting there?
I'm actually in a public hospital facility, but in a very quiet corner. So, yes.
Okay. Well,
all good here.
Very good. Thank you. I thought maybe the bus station going to get on the bus and head somewhere. Maybe you're coming to see us. I didn't know.
No, I'm safe and secure here. Thank you.
All right. Founder of SAVE, an organization focused on fairness and due process on the college campus. We're talking DOGE. Everybody's following DOGE. Everybody's talking about DOGE. I know you have some comments on this. Last September, the Department of Justice announced that they awarded $690 million of grants by its Office on Violence Against Women. And I know this ties in because a lot of the things that you find of fairness on the college campus has to do with how men are treated and how women are believed at all costs. Talk with us about this grant that suddenly last year, just the last September, got doled out for the Office of Violence Against Women. Where did it go, and who's the benefit of it?
Yeah, so let's start with sort of the big picture here, Jimmy. The most important fact that everybody needs to comprehend is domestic violence is an equal opportunity problem. Women are just as likely to be men to be perpetrators of domestic violence. You may have heard the woman in Minnesota who poured antifreeze in her husband's coffee, which of course was a lethal dose. So, whether it's a slap to the face, a punch, or pouring antifreeze, women are as likely to be perpetrators as men of domestic violence. So that's the critical piece that everybody needs to understand to make sense of this whole DOGE corruption right now. So
go ahead.
Yeah. So to answer your question, Jimmy, so yes, we're talking about the Department of Justice has many different units or offices. One of those is the Office on Violence Against Women. Now, why is it called Office of Violence Against Women and not Violence on Women and Men? Well, there we go. We're into the political realm, the political correctness, the feminist narrative that was created back in 1994 when the Violence Against Women Act was passed. So it's really important we understand sort of the broader, first of all, the research, and understand this narrative that's been pushed literally for decades.
This Department of Justice audit is that they're conducting is showing on they give the grants to these agencies or these organizations, and then when you audit them, it seems as if I'm reading the number right, a summary of the audits conducted even before DOGE identified $14.7 million spent for unsupported and unallowable expenditures, and yet in 2024, we're still doling money out of them. Out of the 47 grantees that the government gives the money to, 72% of the organizations that received the grant were found to be generally non-compliant, which means the agency failed to meet the minimum standards across a broad range of indicators. We're talking this morning that Stacey Abrams, former candidate for governor in Georgia, they found out that in 2023, she founded an organization with $100, and that's all they operated with for that year. And last year, the Biden administration dumped out $2 billion to her environmental organization. It sounds like we have the same kind of grants going out to people and organizations who are undisturbing. And if it's like Stacey Abrams, these are just political paybacks. And as long as it promotes the agenda of diversity, equity, inclusion.
Sometimes, Jimmy, it seems like the objective has become, how can we spend as much money as possible on the most ludicrous and absurd ideas you can possibly come up with. You probably heard about the 50 million for condoms. I believe that was in Ukraine. Think about it, $50 million to buy condoms in one country. I mean, that goes beyond credibility. It goes beyond absurdity.
Yeah. I'm sitting here reading, and again, Edward Bartlett is my guest, highlighting it. Really parlays correctly into the Stacey Abrams story, where Lee Zeldin says, "Give us a $2 billion back." That the Department of Justice has been giving money away to its office of called Violence Against Women to organizations that have not. First of all, you're right. Why is it not Office Against Domestic Violence, but it's Violence Against Women? And so, as long as you say you're serving the women folk out there, you can have money. I know you're aware of this, Edward. That there's the New York, the Washington Times, the Washington Post published a story a year or so ago called "Mice in Couches, Mold on Walls," and it documented longstanding problems at a Maryland abuse shelter that was receiving money. The people that lived there said it was a living hell, but they're still getting millions of dollars and not fixing the property. Where did that money go? And they kept getting it and kept getting it, and they kept getting it.
The domestic violence area is so politically correct that we have literally put out these reports over the last 10 years. You mentioned that 72% of the contracts or contractees were found to be generally non-compliant. We published that report 6 years ago, and nary a peep. Nobody raised their eyes like, oh my gosh, there's something wrong here. No, this is so politically correct, but thank God we are in a new political environment that we can ask these questions, that whether it's Department of Education or USAID, we can ask these difficult questions because the whole system is spun out of control.
The American left, and some people ask very fairly, very, very fair questions, and they say, well, maybe there is some domestic violence stuff we should be, I mean, do we, with the DOGE and all these audits now, do we run the risk of throwing what we'd call the baby out with the bathwater? What do you think of the approach here in this world?
Well, so the group that found this 72% of grantees were non-compliant, that was done by a Department of Justice audit unit. And I have to say, I have looked at their website, I've looked at their audit reports, they are well done. So I don't think, first of all, I want to say that's a group that has done very good work. I commend them. I don't think their budget should be cut back. I don't think their personnel should be fired. That's an example of where government is doing good things.
Edward Bartlett is my guest. His organization is called SAVE, S-A-V-E, an organization focused on fairness and due process on college campuses. Edward, if folks want to learn more about your organization, they need to go to your website because, as I said, a lot of this information you've been doing for a long, long time. You've been researching this, and everybody else is just now noticing that we have a lot of this waste, fraud, and abuse, but you've been covering for a long time.
We have. I mean, we've been doing this for over 10 years. You mentioned the Washington Post article. Here's a little bit more recent story, especially your listeners who are in Florida. So every state has what's called a coalition against domestic violence. The Florida Coalition Against Domestic Violence used to be headed by a woman named Tiffany Carr, C-A-R-R. She was a fairly smooth operator, and just a couple of years ago, she was arrested for scamming $3.4 million from the funding that the Florida Coalition had received. I actually saw a photograph of the mountain retreat that she bought in the mountains of western North Carolina. It was a beautiful chalet with a beautiful view, I'll add. But heck, that's not what the government funded her coalition to do. The whole idea is to stop domestic violence. So Tiffany Carr, she's just a prime, it's just an example of how the system is gone wacko.
Edward, if somebody wants to learn more about SAVE, S-A-V-E, where do they go for learn more about your organization? Because there's other research on there.
Yeah, saveservices.org, saveservices.org. We have a ton of info there.
Save Services, SAVE, services.org. Edward, I appreciate you hopping on here in the program this morning. Thank you very much. All right, don't forget all the platforms that you're on out there. You can surely make comments. Somebody posted up earlier, we're not on Instagram. I just checked it and repaired what needed to be checked while Edward was talking. I was able to flip a screen and see that one button was off on the Instagram. So if you're looking for the Instagram this morning, we're back up on the Instagram. Instagram, not necessarily one of our strongest platforms, but hey, we're glad somebody noticed we weren't there. If a tree falls in the forest and no one hears a sound, sees it fall, doesn't really make a sound. That's kind of how I feel about Instagram. But you know, I like Instagram personally. So, all right, good to have all of you here. I want to remind you that I oftentimes talk about sponsorship on this program. If you'd like to advertise with us on the show, somebody pitched this as a sponsor, and producer Chad, we should review this together. You know, if they want to spend money here, I'm not opposed. In just a moment, I'll tell you about the wonderful Sherry Cree and homeswithsherry.com. But I'm not opposed to this. Everybody watch this. Somebody said, hey, how much would it cost to put this commercial on as a sponsor of the Lakey Unleashed? Hold on to your hat. I've just seen parts of this. How much would it cost is this a 60-second? They want a 60-second ad buy, 30 seconds? I don't know. This shows that we are really doing well with the international audience here. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know. $20 is $20.
Take me and my turban to Kathmandu. Chew my chapati, eat my vindaloo. But when I see you walk, 'cause I'm my fingers and thumbs, so get your gums. My papa dums, yeah. Well, go ahead and punk a walla, make my day. Two tasty flavors will blow you away. They rattle and roll all over your tongue, so get your gums.
It's a real product here.
Papa
Dums. Anybody had a Papa Dum? I'm guessing that's somewhere overseas. Where I don't know. I'm thinking if they'd like to buy time on this program, we will sell them time on this program because it's a very expensive hobby right now, so we can do that. All right, good to have you here on the program. Jimmy is my name. Let's go through the news here as we, again, a public service announcement. The show's ending early today. Have a conflict of an appointment that I must make, and I thought it was 11 o'clock Mountain Time, so I thought I had plenty of time to be prepared, but found out it was 11 o'clock Eastern Time after weeks of planning on this thing. So we're going to cut out of here about 8:45 this morning. So if you're watching this in rerun and say, why did I not catch it live? Because maybe you usually join us around 9 o'clock. Well, we're supposed to end about 9 o'clock, but we end up going to about 9:30 every day. Let's go through the news, though. Did you read this story about Israel? This Hamas terrorist group is just fascinatingly sick and twisted and demonic. They returned some bodies of dead people, and they said in one of the coffins is a mom and her two baby children that they killed. They murdered, the Hamas terrorists murdered. And they go to Israel and they do an autopsy and review it and say, well, the two baby children are who you say they are, but who is this lady? It's not their mother, and we don't even have record that this woman of who this person is. So all of a sudden you have this this very strange body that Hamas says, oh yeah, we killed that one too. And they say it's the mother and it's not. These people are sick and demonic, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens moving forward because there's still bodies. I think next week they're supposed to release some more bodies. Hamas is holding dead bodies as hostages, as human shields. They're sick and despicable people, these terrorists, and that's what they do. They put their bunkers underneath hospitals. They put their bunkers underneath women's shelters. They do all this stuff. And, they say Israel's bad. Well, they're not protecting women. Saudi Arabia, Egypt, all these other countries won't let these, quote, Palestinians in their country. Their walls against these people in the Gaza Strip and their borders are fortified so much. Jordan as well. They're fortified so much because they know that these people have been infested with a demonic mindset of killing. And from their school curriculum there is basically, if you have 5 living Jews and you kill 4 of them, do the math, children, how many Jews do we have left? That's how they teach math at an earliest age. So these countries that supposedly share the faith, they won't even let these people in. And so it's an international nightmare. But returning a wrong dead body of a body that no one even knows who it is really sick. That was a story yesterday. We talked about Kash Patel getting confirmed, and the new Justice League is in place. And then Adam Schiff had this desperate response. I don't know if you saw this, and I alluded to it earlier, but it's evidently he's panicked. I really think they're panicked. They say, okay, if Kash Patel comes out with an enemies list, it's not our fault. It's weird that they're talking about his enemies list. The newly minted senator from California spent his first part of the Trump administration, for term one, helping to manufacture and spread the Russian hoax, Russia collusion hoax. And so Thursday, Schiff turned up at the FBI headquarters in a last-minute attempt to derail the confirmation of Kash Patel. And you just have to kind of scratch your head and say, methinks thou doth protest too much. It's very fascinating that these people that have lied and colluded and perpetrated lies and have done all sorts of awful things are now out there saying, watch out, he's going to have an enemies list. And it was not received very well. Adam Schiff called him a political hack. He said he's going to weaponize the FBI against the president's political opponents. Isn't it interesting? If you look at polling data, you look at exit data, people say our justice system has been weaponized. And here Adam Schiff is out there going, he's going to weaponize it. Well, no, it's already been weaponized, you jackass. It's already been weaponized, and America knows it's been weaponized, and that's one of the reasons down the ballot is why people said it's time for just kind of some new sheriffs to come into town and try to clean this up. That's why people are very happy overall, even though people that are at the receiving end of it are not necessarily as happy. But overall, the public's perception is the government's bloated, the government's unfair, the government's not operated correctly, and we need to, whether it's right approach or wrong, cut it down to its core and kind of rebuild the whole thing. And so Schiff's out there doing this, and I just say watch it. He talks about the lack of integrity and trustworthiness, and Adam Schiff is case in point that everything they say about you, it's usually true about themselves. Did you see last night's hockey game? Anybody watched the hockey game last night between the USA and Canada? I guess Justin Trudeau tried to grow a set, and he tweeted and said, it's our country. I don't know. And then the lady that was assigned to sing the Canadian national anthem, she changed the words up last night. You know, these people in Canada, they're a pretty wimpy group, aren't they? They're just a pretty petty little group up there. And they say it looks like they have national pride, and yet they're defended by guys on horses wearing funny hats. They don't have any military. The only reason they seem to have any pride is because they don't even have enough pride to defend themselves. They don't even have enough pride to build an army and to build a standing army to defend itself. They don't have enough pride, but they do have enough pride to elect people like Justin Trudeau into office. So it's just funny to watch if you watched it last night. Anybody watch Trump? He's such a great troller. He's doing such a great thing. He put up an image, and I have a copy of it, and I didn't get it over because we have a short show this morning. He not only did he troll Justin Trudeau yesterday and ask him to come to the governor's meeting where Donald Trump was addressing the governors, and not only did Donald Trump, if you recall earlier this week, we had the story that Donald Trump framed the New York Post headline, the front page of his mugshot right outside the Oval Office. So anytime Chucky Schumer or anybody walks in, you've got to walk past the mugshot. It's kind of a big middle finger to his accusers. Well, he set the internet on fire. Then he trolled yesterday. Did you see this Tiger Woods? He gave him a medal at the White House, and everybody's chanting Tiger. And he said, I like this place. I don't ever want to leave. He said, you want me to run again? And as people are chanting 4 more years, Donald Trump said, well, that's going to get some controversy. I knew I'd spark it. I mean, he's trolling the media on the internet Wednesday, sorry. The Department of Transportation moved to kill New York City's congestion pricing. Basically, you have to have a toll. You have to pay the roads downtown in New York City is what they did. Well, Trump declared victory, and he said congestion pricing is dead. Manhattan and all of New York is saved. Long live the king. And then he put out a fake headline, a fake cover of Time magazine of himself smiling. And it came from the White House Twitter feed. It has a crown on his head, and it says, congestion pricing is dead. Manhattan and all of New York is saved. Long live the king. And Donald Trump there. And I hope they tagged Kathy Hochul. The guy is the king of trollers. And I'm telling you, they can't can't get it over. They just can't figure out who to be ticked at. It's just continue to troll them, and I think it's a good look. As people say, well, that's not very nice. You shouldn't do that. All right, there's a story I want to get to Some of these I'm going to have to push off because we got about 10 minutes left in today's broadcast, a streamcast, I should say. Mike Pence is out there mouthing off about President Trump, upset that he talked about Zelensky in a negative way. Well, we'll talk about Mike Pence and whether anybody cares whether Mike Pence is speaking or not speaking. There's also a story that surfaces every so often about Fox News. As Rupert Murdoch gets older, they're afraid that his son will end up with controlling interests as a bat-crap crazy Biden-supporting liberal. And there's some internal squawking, supposedly lawsuits going on to make sure that the Murdoch son does not destroy Fox News. I'll come back to that next week as well. But here's a story yesterday. Mitch McConnell, the turtle, shows up on the floor of the Senate, and he released a press release. He's not going to seek an 8th term. And so in his old man speaking, hoping his dentures didn't slide and hoping he didn't freeze up in front of a camera, he announced and talked about all the memories and how thankful he was to the people of Kentucky, etc. Let me ask you this question. What the hell is any U.S. senator doing up there for 7 terms? He's been elected 7 terms. They are 6-year terms. Do the math. He's been there since the 80s. And you just have to ask, is that really the founder's intent? And what is it about Americans? And what is it about our two-party system that condones that type of behavior? I mean, Mitch McConnell is a relic of government. He's a fossil. He's in his 80s. He said since he was if you look, he's never really had any experience that I could find in the private sector. When he finished, he was a judge. He went to law school. He said in his speech yesterday, he said his dream in life was a rare dream, an earliest dream he ever, this was it, to be the Senate Majority Leader. I mean, the kid, rather than out thinking of he's going to make some money and tune up his car and go off-roading or something, he says he dreamt of being the Senate Majority Leader. I mean, I had some crazy dreams in my life as well. I thought one day I'd be the president, but sometimes you wake up and go, I'm not going to be the president. That seems like a real awful job to have. Mitch McConnell's not going to seek an 8th term. Somebody help me understand. Is anybody okay with that? I mean, is there anybody in Kentucky that's really okay with a fossilized old codger like Mitch McConnell, who had some good moments, saved the Supreme Court? I mean, there are some good things you can say about him. But I'm telling you, what the heck are we doing in Colorado, in Oklahoma, in New York, in California? How long has your U.S. Senator been there? And why do we continue to allow these fossilized creatures to continue to infest the halls of Congress, whether they're the House of Representatives or whether they're the U.S. Senate? I'm thinking Colorado District 1, Diana DeGette. Diana DeGette has been in that office since sometime in the 90s, and she continues to get reelected. We don't know what she does. Every once in a while, about once a year, twice a year, she'll comment on something, but she's the sleepiest, most ineffective member of Congress. But people allow it to happen. Republicans do it as well. Democrats do it. And I'm telling you, it just seems wrong. The guy's been there 7 years, and he almost acted like we should give him a hero's welcome that he's not running for an 8th term of office. I am sorry. I'm not going to get you're no hero for deciding not to run an 8th term. What you should do is at that point, when you announce you're not running for an 8th term, you should bend your old fossilized ass over and we should shove a boot up it and kick you through a field goal post is what we ought to do. There is no reason that anybody in Washington, D.C. should serve 8 terms in the U.S. Senate. And again, give them 2 terms, maybe give them 3 terms. But after that, people ought to have the good graces and the dignity to step aside. There's been a few that do, that could have kept the perch of power. I can think of my state in Colorado, in a district not so far from mine, a gentleman by the name of Bob Schaefer ran for Congress, and he promised he would term limit himself, and he did. And a lot of folks were angry by that. They said, stay, stay, stay. And he didn't stay, stay, stay. My old buddy, Tom Tancredo, he stayed 1 term originally more than he wanted to, 2 years offices, but he said, I got to get out of there. And he will admit that that it's a nasty place and it's a corrupting place, and it's just amazing. If you're in Kentucky out there, can you explain to me how it is that Mitch McConnell continued to do that? His dereliction of duty is what it is, and he's on our team. I mean, he did some decent things. He's a SOB at times, but he did do some great things on judges, as blocking Chuck Schumer there. And he's the reason that Merrick Garland is not on the Supreme Court, and I think we owe a debt of gratitude to him. But I just got to ask you, this is not all right. This is not all right. This is not all right. All right. Oh, by the way, there is an interesting guy to watch for this seat if you're following in Kentucky. I have followed the guy's career. His name is Daniel Cameron. Daniel Cameron is the former Kentucky Attorney General. I think I had him on my radio show years ago. He's a young fella, and within hours of Mitch McConnell, the turtle, saying he's stepping down, he said that he's going to run. And I like this guy. He's look him up, Daniel Cameron. Also, there's a couple of people, Congressman Andy Barr, who again has been in Washington all this time, and now he says, "Well, I get to upgrade myself." I don't like this mentality. And when I ran for Congress, I remember this. I met with a few guys trying to kind of get their blessing and kiss the ring. And I had several of them tell me, I said, I'm going to go to Congress, make a difference, and get the hell out of there. I don't want to be there forever. And you know what they told me? They said, no. You got to run for dog catcher, then run for city council, then run for the state legislature, then run for the state senate. And then they wanted you to spend, they thought that the path to Washington was to build some career in politics. And I say that's an idiotic thinking. And if you're one of those people that think that way, you're a fool. Our founders did not mean for career politicians to show up and run our country. They did not mean for you to start the state legislature and spend 30 years clawing your ways to the hallowed halls of Congress as if it's some prize at the Olympics. That's not what our founders intended. And people need to stop playing that game. And if you're a Republican or Democrat politician, say, well, I want to run for Congress one day, and I'm going to start a dog catcher, and give me 30 years, I'll get there. You're going to compromise your principles, your values, your family, your legacy, your heritage. Is just going to be somebody always grappling for some political power. And find the area you're called to serve in and go serve in it. And if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. But, that's just ridiculous. I'm just shocked at the people of Kentucky for allowing this nonsense to happen over and over and over again. All right, so watch the name Daniel Cameron. Again, he's been in politics. He's a former attorney general. Andy Barr, from what I don't follow Kentucky politics a lot, I think he's a good guy, but I do have to say Andy Barr has been in, again, this is the problem. You go to Congress, oh, now I get to go to the Senate, and now I get to, if I'm real good, maybe it's corruption. And it's the same way when you don't have a fresh budget every year like we're supposed to, you get continuing resolutions. Sometimes the guys being reelected, it's just a continuing resolution. And it's barnacles on the bottom of the boat that need to be cleaned off. And so if you could take these re-elections like Mitch McConnell going year after year back and back and back, it's just, why do voters, you're all outraged about how these continuing resolutions have given you such waste, fraud, and abuse in Washington. When you're electing these incumbents over and over again, you're basically passing another waste, fraud, and abuse continuing resolution. All right, I was happy to see this. We're going to dive into this next week. There is now talk of Congress getting to work. Donald Trump is signing a lot of executive orders, and he's doing some cool things. But until Congress gets to work and starts passing the budget and trimming the budget and accounting for these waste, fraud, and abuse of DOGE, until Congress codifies it, here's what they do. The swamp monsters lie dormant for 4 years and just let the flame burn out. And by nature, in 4 years, there's going to be a new president, and maybe they can resurrect a lot of this stuff. So there is some hope. I've got a couple of stories I'll get to next week about Congress getting ready. They're starting, the budget negotiations are underway, and they're talking a good talk, and the Democrats are like, you can't do that. Again, Republicans have to stand strong here, and we all know what DOGE is doing. We all know there's waste, fraud, and abuse, and they got to trim the scope and size of government and stop the continuing resolutions. All right, I want to play this video one more time. I think this is good. Follow the story over the weekend, the next couple of days. Now that Kash, Patel, the new Justice League are in place, follow this. This could be Stacey Abrams this morning. I don't think it is, but they found out that in 2023, she had a nonprofit organization in which she did what? In which she was supposedly attending Green New Deal summits and environmental. She was going to save the environment. Big Stacey was. And now they found out she went with $100 and she got rewarded for being a good girl and being a Biden lapdog. So last year they gave her organization $2 billion. And that $2 billion, this is her responding to it, I think.
He ain't put the pen down.
She's very upset.
He got here. One minute, we can't
orders.
have transgenders in the world. We can't have Mexicans. We can't have nothing. 1 minute we ain't gonna be able to eat macaroni and cheese on the side of the road.
I hate that.
I don't know. I don't feel like I just feel like the world Stacey. Just need to start over. No, hell no. Then don't worry about it. Don't just scratch what I just said. The world does not need to be started over until This is a stressful life.
Stacey's stressed.
You don't know when you're going to pass away, how you're going to pass away. You don't know what's next. Somebody going to come randomly. Oh, and what's up with these planes crashing every damn well? It's something going on. Y'all stay off them folks' planes. Y'all see it? Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it, Stacey. I don't think that's Stacey. It could be, but yeah, $2 billion. And Lee Zeldin was on television early this morning saying he's done with that kind of stuff. All right, three things before I depart. I want you to remember this weekend, homeswithsherry.com, homeswithsherry.com. Fantastic lady, fantastic realtor, and she wants to be your realtor for life. She wants to help you kind of establish that real estate pathway. We all start with a starter home. Maybe you've got the starter home. Maybe you need to upsize. Maybe you have the downsized portion of your life. Maybe you've thought about rental property. She wants to kind of just get a picture of what you think real estate is. She knows that used right, real estate can be used for generational wealth, and that's a wonderful thing, but she does more than just put a real estate sign in your yard. She's a white glove service realtor. She practices ninja selling techniques, approaching sales in kind of a different light, and I recommend her to you. Listen, she supports the program, and you just go, right now she's offering, again, people start thinking March, April, May, June. I mean, homes in Colorado are always up for sale and moving, but it kind of heats up a little bit. And this would be a great time to start kind of planning the path for your real estate dreams the rest of 2025. Consultation, conversation. That's all she's asking. She's not going to twist your arm. This is not a sales meeting. This is just a friendly, let's have a conversation. Where are you at? What do you want to do? And let me know how I can help you. It's homeswithsherry.com, homeswithsherry.com. Anywhere up that I-25 corridor, feel free. Anywhere under the sound of my dulcet tones in the beautiful state of Colorado. Fort Collins, yeah, she got you covered up there. Down in Aurora, she'll make sure you don't buy a home invested by Tren de Aragua. And you get the idea. Everywhere around Boulder, she got you covered. Denver. Hello, Castle Rock. You ready? Homeswithsherry.com. homeswithsherry.com. Great sponsor of the show, and I appreciate her doing that. Hey, don't forget, May 17th is our casino gala. That's for my charity, Rivers Promise, right behind me, and hope you'll join us. It's on available. Tickets are available now at riverspromise.com or riverspromise.org. Click the events tab. Sponsored by our friends at Budget Home Supply in Longmont, Colorado. Lastly, we're heading to the weekend. This is a shorter show because we have a conflict of an appointment I got to get to. But I want to remind you, if you could be so gracious as to donate to our charity, we would love for you to donate today. Riverspromise.org. We're heading towards the end of February. January, February, March are some of our slowest months as far as donations. That's when we have to come back in May and do a fundraising event because we're usually draining the coffers dry because just the seasons that we're in. If you can help us out today with $10, $20, again, $30 feeds a kid a meal a day for 1 month. $65 adds education to that $30 of meals, and we send a kid. If you can help us, today's Friday. Some of you get paid on Friday. Help us out. If you can give $2, give $2. If you can give $65, give $60. If you can give $200, give to it. You get the idea. Riverspromise.org, riverspromise.org. A promise I made to my son, and I'm not breaking that promise. And I appreciate you helping me make that promise to a whole bunch of other kids, hundreds of kids that we help out, and thousands of meals we feed every month to kids that would not eat otherwise. Riverspromise.org, riverspromise.org. Check out the website for donation and for the event. Ladies and gentlemen, I've got to run. I appreciate you. We're going to be back Monday morning. Sorry the show's a little short. Some of you are very thankful that the show is short today. But again, just a wild conflict of schedule, the mix up on a time zone. I thought I had till 11 o'clock for this, but no, it was 11 o'clock Eastern time. It happens sometimes. Hey, everybody, have a great weekend. May God bless you. May God bless America. I am Jim Lakey. Peace. I'm out of here.